Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mobafire Challenger Series. My name is Malphas. I'll be joined by Azaraki Dragon. We're going to bring you 5 exciting games tonight in this, our third day of the third week of our Challenger League. Azaraki, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a great day to be casting right now. The weather's finally cooled down up here in Vermont, so I'm actually pretty comfortable while I'm casting as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the matches we have tonight. With the one we're about to spectate right now, Team Tower Dive versus Team Summon. Then after that, we'll follow it up with the New World Eclipse versus Exertus Seal, and we'll see if Exertus can actually pick up their first win in the MCS. And we also have Denial Esports versus Cognitive Gaming, formerly known as Wasabi Gaming, Curse Academy versus Gold Gaming LA, and Aware Gaming versus Tempest. And Tempest also looking for their first win of the MCS. So now let's go ahead and go take a look at some of the bans that we've already had.
That's right, we're taking a look here. Diana, Rise, Vayne already being banned out. Twisted Fate, Nunu, and Thresh all getting banned away. So it seems like more of these are really, really strong right now bans coming out from the side of Team Summon. And it seems like a little bit more targeted of a ban set coming out of the side of Tower Dive TV.
Oh yeah, for sure. The champions like Twisted Fate, Nunu, Thresh, they're banned all the time, and with good reason too. Nunu is such a great jungler, Thresh is such a great playmaking support, and Twisted Fate has that global pressure, which we've seen win many, many games in the MCS. Now looking over at the other side, Diana, Rise, they're both very strong AP champions. Diana's more assassin-y, and I can't quite put my finger on who actually plays what, because it looks like Summon has quite a different roster at the moment than I'm used to, but going down to their last ban, Vayne is an extremely strong AD carry right now. She's been played so often. I think the most common bot lane matchup, bot lane pairing we've seen in the MCS so far is the Vayne Nami combo because it's so strong both early and late game, and especially late game when you have Vayne who basically puts out more damage than any other AD carry. Now, people like Caitlyn is going to have an easier time positioning than Vayne, but pound for pound, she does the most damage.
Exactly, yeah. So, a couple of picks coming out here on the side. Yeah, Azaraki did mention Team Summon going through a fairly catastrophic level of roster change. This is going to be a very, very different team that we're going to be seeing tonight. Chris, formerly of Velocity Esports fame in the LCS, going to be hopping in here. Dragoner in the jungle duties. Reap 22 going to be playing the mid lane. Propaganda Panda and Prophet going to round out their lineup. As we see over on the side of Tower Dive TV, it's basically the same lineup we've seen since they were the Sugoi boys, and they even have the Sugoi tags. Geek Desk, Glorified, Pekingese, Jungi, and I am Anjo. Going to be holding out that bottom lane support duties.
And let's take a look at some of what these teams have already decided to pick. Team Tower Dive looking to go for the Elise, Janna, as well as Jace. So they have both Elise and Jace can go both top and mid. We know that mid Jace is very popular, top Elise is popular, top Jace is popular. But we've also seen some mid Elise, especially when you look over at Arthalon, who's been playing that quite a bit, even in the MCS. That's a common ban against him. So we can see both of these champions go top or mid. We could also potentially see an Elise jungle, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that as well. And meanwhile, let's go ahead and look over at Team Summon for a second. The ones that they have locked in already are Zac as well as Kennen. So very, very good initiate and very good follow-up initiate on their team. We see Zac using his Elastic Slingshot going into the middle of the fight, and we've seen some great Zac plays earlier in the MCS. And we have an immediate follow-up with Chris looking to pick up Kennen. I think that's probably going to be a top Kennen, although that can also switch and put Kennen in the mid lane and Zed in the top lane. So we'll have to see how they work that out as well.
Yeah, I want to say that that's going to be Kennen top just because we've seen Chris play Kennen top so many times in the LCS. It's a very, very comfortable pick for him. A really, really solid laning phase, very, very solid team fight phase, late game, dive the carry, make them just be absolutely terrified and run them out of the fight every single time. So I am expecting to see that. Zed and Caitlyn. It's interesting they built kind of they've got a 3-man dive comp thus far. Ken and Zed and Zac are all going to want to rush to the back line and kill everybody. So now they're going to need a support that can generate some midline control, that can generate some zones, and keep Caitlyn nice and safe from this Elise who's going to be diving through, along with whatever this other potential either top laner or jungle pickup could be. And I'm seeing a little Nidalee action here, maybe being hovered over.
Oh yeah, so it looks like we are going to see a Nidalee go into lane, and it is going to be in Elise jungle, so we kept our eyes out for that, and it looks like that's what they're going to go ahead and go with. So they're looking to have a very strong poke team. We have the Cocoon from Elise, locks up whoever she wants, or whoever she hits with that, and then on top of that we have the Shock Blast Acceleration Gate combo. We have the Mystic Shot from Ezreal, Spears from Nidalee. Whoever Elise decides to poke down and lock down with her stun, is going to get chunked for so much health if they decide to focus that. And if, say, Team Summon were to decide to engage at some point, we have glorified. Well, sorry, not glorified. It's going to be Andrew Chan on Janna, who's going to be able to disengage that really easily with Janna's ultimate, as well as throw up a couple of tornadoes, which cannot be underestimated for the amount of CC they do as well. So, very strong poke comp right here. Not seeing too much power in terms of hard engage, unless they're just going to kite around the entire time. But really, I want to see this poke comp work. I sort of do. But looking at Team Summon, like you said before, they have 3 people who are just going to go ahead and dive into the back line. Now, it's all going to depend on how well Anjo can place his ultimates as Janna. That's really what I think is going to decide this most of the team fights in the late game.
They're going to have to be very, very careful with their positioning because, generally speaking, the one of the solutions that you bring against a poke comp is a really, really hard engage composition. Like you just dive in and just kill them. Don't take that poke for even a second longer than you have to. And it's difficult to run into a Janna. It's difficult to run into an Italy. It's difficult, really difficult actually, to run into either a Jace or an Elise. Because the odds of you getting cocooned, and if you're too far out ahead of the rest of the team, you can get blown up. And Jace, he can throw down an acceleration gate behind his team, run through it, and then send a shock blast at you while he's got extra move speed, so you can't chase him down. The Janna passive Tailwind, giving them all extra move speed as well. Very, very difficult for the lineup of Team Summit to actually chase down Tower Dive team. What do they call them? Is it Tower Dive TV or Team Tower Dive TV? It's Team Tower Dive TV, isn't it?
I think sometimes it's Team Tower Dive. I usually actually switch between Team Tower Dive and Tower Dive TV because that's sort of a little discrepancy right there.
Okay, there we go. Either way, they're going to be doing a lot of running this game and a lot of trying to just poke people down at super, super long range. But there's so much engage coming out of this side. Blitzcrank can go with the flash hook. Zed can try to get a little bit of slow action down there. Zach can go in with the elastic slingshot, pop people up with Let's Bounce, and give Chris time to close the gap with the slicing maelstrom and start dealing all the damage and doing all the CC. And Caitlyn's actually pretty strong because one of the objectives of a poke composition, it's not just about actually poking, right? Putting damage on an opposing champion doesn't do anything to win you the game. It's once you put enough damage on them that you can go, run in, make the engage happen, take down the objective, force people back, whatever you have to do. And Caitlyn, if they get to the point where they're getting turtled up inside the base and they're just being sieged on from inside the base, she can just throw a whole bunch of traps down, and it's a whole lot harder to take advantage of a champion being low health if you can't run into the base to take care of them.
Yeah, I also like the Blitzcrank pick they're pulling out as well, so that can really make sure that someone gets caught out by the Blitzcrank hook. If we were to land it, that person is most likely going to die no matter what. I mean, just look at the amount of champions they have to jump on whoever gets caught out, and at that point they're going to end up fighting a 4v5, and they have a much easier time initiating that fight rather than a 5v5. So that's another strong pick right there for Team Summon. So this is going to be quite an interesting game to see. We're seeing really hard engage versus really hard poke. So it's all going to come down to how these guys are able to play it. And as you said, the positioning is going to make a huge factor in this game. But there's also a chance that we might see this game decided on the early game. Now we have a lot of early game strong champions around the entire board. Both AD carries are pretty strong in the early game. Ezreal has a lot of mobility as well as poke. Caitlyn has a lot of poke and damage. We also see people like Jace, who is basically, his point is to edge out the laning phase, but at the same time, so is Kennen. So those two are going to go at it at the top lane, and the junglers are mostly going to decide that. But for the most part, this is going to be a fun game to watch.
Absolutely, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break. I would like to take a moment just to thank our sponsors, iBuyPower, Fatality Gaming Gear, and Razor Academy. You can find all their information and a whole lot more over at the website for the Mobafire Challenger Series, mcsesports.com, including where you can find the tip jar if you want to contribute a little bit to either the prize pool or the production staff. mcsesports.com/tips is where you can find that. Quick commercial break incoming, guys. Don't go away. Game 1 of the night between Tower Dive TV and Team Summon coming at you.
All right, and now we're back, ready to hop into this first game of the day between Team Tower Dive as well as Team Summon. And we are going to go ahead and load into the loading screen. Now, one thing we didn't talk about before during the picks and bans, as well as the 3-minute delay, were some of the summoner spells. But at the same time, I don't really see anything that's too different about these. The biggest difference I see between these and normal summoner spells is basically Nidalee taking Barrier, which is still a popular choice in the mid lane because it does give you a lot more survivability, especially considering that she will be going up against Zed, so that barrier can help mitigate a lot of the damage that comes from his Deathmark ultimate, and that's going to be good for her lane opponent as well as better for the late game as well, because as a hard engage, it's probably better to have Ignite to help get those kills, but at the same time, they're just going to want to poke away and try not to get initiated on, so the barrier is going to help out with that as well.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like, what other option would there be for her? If she took an Ignite, that would be helpful early in the mid game, because a lot of times Nidalee is going to be trying to chase people down in Cougar form if she has someone at low health in a 1v1 kind of chase scenario. But once they start hitting the late game phase, she's not really going to be in range for Ignite very often. At least I don't think that's their game plan. They have this mapped out such that she's going to be standing, about 900 units away, lobbing in javelin after javelin after javelin, and just hoping that nobody ever actually gets to see the what are we gonna do? Want to talk about something about her coat, because she's a lovely cougar lady, but I can't come up with anything. They don't want to see the luster of her coat. That's what you have to be close to see the luster on a jungle cat's coat, right?
I wouldn't know, actually. You might have
okay.
to Google that at some point.
I'm about to check that out. But anyway, they're gonna be hanging back here. Items being bought out. Everybody's heading out of the base, making their way out to the jungle. Gonna be dropping their early wards, protecting their objectives. It's always the name of the game at the early phase here. Did you hear that they're actually going to they're going to be setting the jungle timers even further back for the non-buff camps?
Did they really? Wow.
Yeah,
I actually didn't know that.
they realized that even at 155 you can still take the double golems and get to the bottom lane before you lose a creep. So they're going to set everything even further back. I believe the number I heard bandied about was 205.
205. That is going to actually be a pretty big change right there. And for a second, I was a little bit worried because I haven't actually loaded in until now, but everything is good. I am loaded in, and it looks like already we're seeing Summon go for a sort of a weird strategy. I think they're going to try to bank on a Blitzcrank hook at this point, although they haven't thrown a ward over the wall yet, which is something that would be probably standard if you're going for this sort of start. And it looks like my client is still bugging out as they all just teleported down to the mid lane.
Yeah, they're just hanging out. Prophet threw a hook into the brush there. Was hoping to find somebody napping in the banana brush there. Wasn't able to get anybody napping. I mean, I personally, today it's a Wednesday. Had a long day. I could go for a nap in banana bush, and I'm super glad that no giant robots wearing boxing gloves are trying to pull me into the entire, into enemy teams that have, intend me harm.
Oh yeah, and that's a really bad day, especially when there's boxing gloves as well. Imagine trying to pull someone with those. It's hard to think because the boxing gloves don't really open all that much. So, it's sort of weird right there, but it looks like Caitlyn and Blitzcrank, they're going for a start where they're going to start down in the bushes, and wow, my client is still not working. Take us through some of these things while I try to figure out what's going on.
It's the cheese. It's the cheese. Jungie, he doesn't smell the cheese. Oh, he's going to see Blitzcrank walking out, and now he's going to smell it. He's on the run. Jana coming over from the other side of the river, going to give him a shield, and they're not going to end up getting a whole lot out of it. There's the hook. Jungie getting pulled in, going to lose about half of his health by the end of that. But interestingly enough, they basically reset their positions before that hook came out. But that, just that early aggression combined with one headshot before the Eye of the Storm came down, Jungie is very low, very early on in this lane. Gonna have to be very careful about that, as Caitlyn is definitely a lane bully. And this is an interesting 2v2 matchup to walk into. Jana's good against Blitzcrank because if a hook comes down, you just throw a Howling Gale and throw up a shield, and generally speaking, that's gonna buy a carry like Ezreal, who can get away from danger very quickly, enough time to get himself back out to safety. But if Caitlyn gets out ahead just like that, she can stand in the creep wave and consistently right-click harass either one of them down, whichever one doesn't have the shield at the time.
Yes, and my client is still bugging out a little bit, so going to be dealing with that for a bit. But first off, let me go and talk about this top lane matchup for a little bit. We have Kennen and Jace. They're both ranged champions, and they're both sort of meant to poke out their lane opponent really quickly. That's what they do to try to basically win the lane. And now since both of these are going to try to do it, then that's sort of a weird matchup where they're either going to start farming really heavily on both sides, or they're going to start heavily harassing on both sides. So those are the two ways that top lane can go, and as always, jungler pressure is going to make a big difference in that top lane, and I really think that's one of the only things that are going to be able to break this standstill.
So we see down in the bottom lane, Prophet, whenever he throws out a hook, Ezreal's just immediately arcane shifting back out, just in the case that it does hit him, and you can essentially cancel the pull effect of that. Probably that hook's going to go onto a creep. That creep's going to be taken for a little ride there, but he's not going to be too upset about that one. He's going to end up dying anyway, so at least he had a brief moment of flight before he goes down back to wherever it is minions go after they get crushed. But, you know, Youngie has had to use so much mana early on. You know, both trying to avoid these grabs and actually get a little mystic shot harass down as well. He is very, very quickly going to find that mana pool to be just dwindling and emptying out. And at that point, Propaganda Panda is not going to have a whole lot to worry about when he steps forward for those trades.
And I'm going to go ahead and try to restart my actual, just try to reconnect to the
Chris going back in on the Geek Death. Dragoner is here as well. Geek Death's going to flash away as the arms come out. There's the flash, the W coming out from Zach. Isn't enough damage. He's going to go for the Elastic Slingshot. Can't get the pop-up. Geek Death's going to get back out, but did have to burn his flash. Lose the jungler flash as well, but they're going to be pretty pleased with that one, as that's going to be a very, very hesitant Jace to step forward past the river against Chris.
And that was a pretty good gank right there, and we see that, you know, they traded the jungler's health for the health of the laner, but at the same time both of them popped their flashes, so that's also going to be down for the next engagement as well. And that's sort of more substantial for the laner rather than it is for the jungler, because we say Zach can go ahead and go back in for that, try to gank again, and we know that Jace's flash will be down for that, and it's easier for him to do that where he doesn't need his flash as much as Jace would in order to escape it.
Absolutely, and you know, trading the health as well. That's another good point. Zach he was already intent on just going back to base right then. Like okay, I'm gonna go back in my Spirit Stone. Oh, Prophet, he's just trying to just. Oh, he's mind gaming Junkie so hard. Just mind gaming him. He was already planning to go back anyway. So if he trades, you know, almost all of his health but doesn't go down, and at least makes Jace burn 1 or 2 potions in order to stick around in the lane, he's gonna be pretty pleased with that. That being said, Crystal and Flask and a whole bunch of health potions. Geek Death sticking around until he hits level 5.5 before he actually does have to go back to the base, and he's gonna go back with about 8 more CS than Kennen had when he based. So that's you know, that's just, you know, given the fact that he was the one who saw the first jungle pressure, that is not bad at all. He is doing quite well in that lane.
Alright, and I'm actually going to go ahead and swap out with Rapid at this moment because reconnected to the game, and unfortunately it's still not working. I'm still getting that sort of visual lag bug where everyone starts teleporting. So I'm going to go ahead, give it up to Rapid. Rapid, go ahead and take over.
This is sort of like a casting wrestling match. It's like tag team. So I am going to come in here and hopefully catch up a little bit on this game. I have been watching, so really interesting. I mean, right off the bat, seeing Chris up in top lane, that's probably something that's you know, been quite the talk of the town, as it were. Team Summon had some issues, but I'm glad to see them actually fielding a roster tonight.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty disappointing to have to see them bow out last night, but at least we're going to get some games tonight. And Chris, continuing that aggression on the Geek Death.
All right, yeah, Geek Gone Mad, actually one of the better Jace players that I've seen. He kind of spams that. There's a really big difference between just like people who play Jace because he's OP and like actual Jace players. And he is one of, he's definitely one of those. The only problem is that, I mean, Chris, coming off of a ton of LCS experience, definitely knows how to play this lane and is putting the pressure on and may actually draw a little bit of jungle pressure top. You can see that Glorified actually heading bottom after coming back from triple base.
Let me see where he's going to get done here. This Elise has not really had as much of an impact on the face of the game. We haven't really seen a whole lot of Elise ganking. We've seen Zach show up in several lanes to try to get a little bit of work done. And somehow Zach is still ahead. But here's the ult in mid lane.
It does look like Pickaninny's going to drop back to the turret. Does pop barrier, so it mitigates most of the damage there from Reap's Deathmark. Throws out a spear and kind of trades that damage back, as is it's going to mean that Reap no ultimate. That really takes the pressure off of that lane. So you can see that Nidalee feels a little bit more comfortable, but a nice barrier usage, hopping back to the turret. They're going to stay alive for now.
And look at Dragoner. He's going so aggressive on this one, starting just diving into the blue buff. No ward coverage in the area. He's just going to be hoping that he can steal this down. Chris going to show up in the area, is going to be there to help him out. And they're just waiting. Glorified's going to find out right now that it's gone.
Oh, Glorified, sweet lord, the burst damage didn't even have time to repel. Let's bounce going down. Can they catch Pekingese? Nope, gonna make it back to his turret. And yeah, keep in mind Dragoner, you guys might know him as Dragoner X. He was a primarily Rammus player in solo queue until he joined Big Fat LP's team in Azure Cats, and has since stop playing for them. But here tonight, it's kind of like a little bit of an all-stars. They're a little bit of players from basically everywhere. But Spears continuing to land from Pekingese, really winning back this lane after having a little bit of a rough start.
Yeah, it's never that fun. Never that fun. Oh, the hook lands!
Oh my goodness, instantaneously you can see the Arcane Shift back, but that means Ezreal completely out of mana. Literally has like 15 mana right now. The interesting thing with Blitzcrank grabs is you can actually disjoint them if you predict your Arcane Shift fast enough, but Chunky, did the next best thing, landed it after he got there. Glorified there to relieve some pressure, but can they actually get in onto this? No follow-up behind there, so Glorified just defending for now.
And that's one of the best things about John in this situation as well. Is if someone gets hooked, you just throw down the shield and a Howling Gale, and that buys them that little bit of time they need to actually get their escape off and get Ez back out of danger. As long as it's not all front-loaded burst, blitz, pull, pop up, ult, Caitlyn doing what Caitlyn does, then he should be able to get himself back out of this one. But that mana pool is going to be an issue if it keeps emptying out like that.
Yeah, the big deal right now is that, Blitzcrank, like we mentioned, somewhat less effective here in lane. Is really going to be up until the later phases of the game, or even, pressuring the global objectives like that Baron. This is really going to be where we see Blitzcrank start to shine. See up in the top lane, even with Dragoner coming top, they force Geek Gone Mad to back, and this is perfect positioning because they don't actually want to kill him, they just want to take his turret, and they're going to need some minions to do that, so probably just going to look to kind of clear things out for now.
And on the run, the exhaust comes out on Glorified. Glorified going to go up with the repel. Is he going to come back down?
Repel,
just
no.
Back down the same spot.
Yeah, I was like, why isn't he going in right now? But he does only have about 300 HP. So Prophet with Rocket Grab up. Ooh, Ezreal ult coming out there. Not enough to catch Propaganda Pen. A very aggressive positioning. I think they can actually go for this. Even my Flash and Barrier are alive. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Pekingese getting taken out by Reap. We're focusing on that bottom. Exhaust actually going down onto Prophet. Keep the damage low. As is the actual win in that team fight was for Team Summon in the mid lane. Reap going in there finally, finding Nidalee without her barrier summoner spell available, and was able to take her down, and probably the mid turret along with it. As you can see, both Chris and Dragon are coming in from the side.
Yeah, and Nidalee's barrier came up just now, like 3 seconds ago. That was, Reap is gonna have that window every time. If he's able to burn one barrier with one ult, he just has to play patiently and just get his damage in for the next ult when he can go back in. Already finished up that Bilgewater Cutlass on his first base, so he's able to come back out, use that additional magic damage to synergize with his ult, and pick up that kill under the tower. Pekingese, no barrier, no response, nothing to do.
All right, so that's it's actually going to be a pretty big deal because a lot of times lanes are somewhat in equilibrium unless there's a hard counter, and then once you get one advantage, it's all about which champion you are. That really depends on how hard you're going to snowball. And with Zed, once you start getting those kills coming in, it just does not stop. Blade of the Ruined King complete at 11 minutes into the game. That is incredibly fast, and the way that synergizes with his ultimate, further amplifying that damage, it's just going to mean that if Nidalee had a hard time in lane before, it's not going to get any easier.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough. That's just a little bit terrifying. 15% of the target's maximum health when it gets popped off, and then an additional 50% of that because of the death mark. That's extremely potent. That's gonna be scary.
Another thing that's going to be really scary here is Chris's Kennen. We talked about him being a really good Kennen player, and he's actually really far progressed in his build, just kind of wave clearing whole waves for free. And really, Geek Gone Mad, he's looking for the Brutalizer, maybe even looking for a Muramana to try to charge it up a little bit more quickly. But once again, Zed just going in on a Pekingese in the mid lane. One more auto attack. There's the flash to pick up the last auto attack and the kill. Reap just kind of going ham here. He walks between the turret. Glorified still not letting go, but he's actually going to back right in between things. Where is he going to go? The repel is coming down over the wall. And as soon as he does, the flash comes out, but the cocoon landing on the wolves instead. There's going to be a lot of damage coming down. What's the cooldown on Living Shadow? Does have about 5 seconds left. There's going to be some extra damage. The auto attack, actually no, that was the neurotoxin. Pick up the kill.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he decided to go over the trap that ended up giving Nidalee an additional assist, but maybe just style points. He wanted to go down with the eyes on the head. But Chris trying to answer back.
He's gonna blow the actually kills him in ultimate or in the repel. Falls down dead from on high, and that's gonna be the kill there for Chris. Actually didn't give away an inhibitor or an assist, so that's somewhat unfortunate. In the meantime, Dragoner, that guy was over there soloing that dragon. as he was aptly named. Gotta keep an eye on this bottom lane, though. Propaganda Panda, man. This guy down around 250, 300 HP. Only playing this very close to his chest, but with Prophet there, with Exhaust available, with Flash and Barrier still unused, and they have some options in his pocket. Positioning very aggressively. Prophet just needs to run out there, get a knockup. Juggy very low on mana. Could make this happen. Here comes Prophet. He's gonna get out of there. Ultimate to try to clear the wave out. Can't quite get in there. Where's the grab? Does it land? No, not going for it just yet.
He's out of mana. Prophet he can't grab.
He blew his ultimate to try to clear out the creeps, but that's 150 mana, which is why he does not have that grab left available. I mean, he has 75 mana right now, so it's going to be a good 10, 15, 30 seconds before he can get enough mana to come out there again. A little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, that's I'm not 100% sure if he just miscounted the mana or if they were just looking for an opportunity to try to go back. Ace in the hole, not going to be enough to take down Anjo.
Not in the correct hole, as it were, but it looks like bottom turret will be going down. Propaganda Panda takes it out. Glorified not in position. I really want to go into this. Does have his completed Spirit of the Ancient Golem, so right on par with Zach. Only problem is Zach's been, soloing dragons, been getting some assists around the map, or a kill around the map, whereas the Glorified having a little bit of a rougher time, about 10 CS behind and down a couple kills.
So we see Tower Dive TV. We talked a little bit about how the early game was going to be pretty important for this one. If poke compositions get out ahead, they tend to snowball really, really hard, and they're pretty good at holding off a little bit of an early lead as well. But over 5,000 gold at 15 minutes, that might be a little bit too much for them to come back from. The first dragon going down, they're down 3 towers in addition right now. They gave up the first blood. They've only been able to get 1 kill back to the 4 they've given up. This is going to be a very difficult situation for Tower Dive TV to climb back from.
Now, Tower Dive TV, one of the more I don't know, dark horse teams to come out here with an incredible performance over their first 3 or 4 games of the season. I gotta say, these guys are definitely capable of a ton of comebacks, but starting to look a little bit rough. Kind of off of that mid lane, we started to see Pekingese have a little bit of a rougher time. Keep in mind, he's an Orianna player, so going for a Nidalee, a little bit of an interesting take. That being said, the great thing about Nidalee is that as much as you can shut her down, her spears still gonna be kind of effective. Chris went behind enemy lines for a very deep ward.
This is gonna be interesting. Chris is at this point, he's big enough to just set himself up in the top lane and force people to come to him, right? I mean, he's already got the Zanya's Hourglass done, so he can initiate whatever fight he feels like. It really doesn't matter. Not a whole lot of people are going to be able to actually burst him down before he can pop the ultimate and go into Zonya's form. And if you can't kill him before that happens, I mean, having that this early on in the game, it's very, very likely that he can either kill you while he's still, a golden, what is that? Like a golden ringing statue, I guess I'll call it. If he can't kill you while he's still a statue, he's going to kill you as soon as he becomes not a statue anymore.
Yeah, Chris is very, very strong right now. 16 minutes with Double Dora and Zanya's Hourglass. Geek Desu definitely kind of feeling the pain, although he's not completely down on items himself. See him going in there, picking up a favorable trade, so definitely something to keep an eye on. He's gonna actually chase Glorified coming in from the side. Actually, not gonna be able to get in there as Lightning Rush does get Chris out to safety.
So we see down in the bottom lane, Propaganda Panda and Prophet continuing to apply pressure, warding up the jungle, making sure they have total control, and just continue to shove in under the tower. It's a 50 CS gap right now between these two AD carries, and Caitlyn already with the Infinity Edge done. I mean, just utterly dominating Jungie in any sort of straight-up duel right now.
Does mean that's, Propaganda Panda, Prophet, even though Blitzcrank grabs weren't, the biggest of players in that early laning phase, they're still going to be a factor as the lanes progress, and especially when it comes to sieging out turrets. There's nothing worse than just kind of sitting at turrets, throwing out Blitzcrank grab after grab, and eventually you're going to hit something. So it's going to be working very well here for Team Summit as they continue to push down there. It's a 3v3 right now. That means that's going to look to see where on earth this Reap guy is coming in. Hits an Italy trap, so no surprises there.
That's always a nice way to shut down any sort of sneaky assassin-style gank. Just throw down traps to reveal and hope that he steps on one of them. But it seemed, at least for that moment, that they're content to just bring all the pressure down to the bottom lane and continue to isolate the top laners 1v1. At this point, Chris has picked up the Sorcerer's Shoes as well, so a bit of extra damage output there. Do you expect him to go for the Haunting guys as well, despite the fact we're already hitting the 18-minute mark?
To be honest, right now he can do pretty much whatever he wants. Jenna Ultimate gonna push Dragoner back into the team. He's gonna let us bounce his way on out of there for now. Jenna flashing away a little bit prematurely, but will make it out alive. Pekingese coming in there, but spears go out, do not find anywhere to land. That does mean that's a great disengage kind of their Spirit onto Propaganda. It takes a lot of damage. This guy's been face-taking skill shots the entire game. It does not matter. He's still winning out that lane. I mean, kind of what Caitlyn does. Very long auto attack range, pushing things out. And to answer your question, I'm pretty sure Chris could just go for whatever he wants. He literally deliberately just stepped on that trap to take it out of the game. He's just Chris has a very interesting way of playing. It's very dependent on him just being able to do whatever he wants, and he's definitely in that situation right now, so could go for a little bit more of sort of the Rylai's Crystal Scepter build. I expect to see that a little bit more likely, but hey, there's really no build he cannot go right now because he's very far ahead.
So we see right now, it's just, does this feel to you like Tower Dive TV is just trying to hold on and find whatever farm they can and just try to get through this at this point?
I actually saw this little bit of an advanced tidbit in one of Tianxi no Akuma's videos. Like when a team is far ahead, when a highly challenger team, they play on the other team's side of the map, because even if you wind up getting caught out, even if you don't actually make all that much happen, you're denying them CS, you're pushing their waves, you're getting damage on the towers, you're taking their jungle farm and their buffs as well as dragons and things like that. That's actually something that Team Summon have been doing a pretty good job on. See Prophet and Chris just roaming all the way through the jungle, pushing out Glorified. He does actually have an Oracles, but the big deal there, Dragoner taking a little bit of a spear to the face, so spear check complete. Status still annoying and going to be doing a lot of damage. Reap, though, has some other plans. Clearing out wards and getting ready for this dragon. I mean, with some poke coming out from Jace, this actually could be a really good place for the guys from the ex-Sugoi boys, now Tower Dive TV, team to maybe pick up a little bit of an advantage.
We see, oh, that Cocoon was close, but now Glorified's going to be the one on the run.
He's going to try to get out there. God hand, please, the repel! But nowhere to go except to the Wolf, or to the Wraith camp. He'll be able to flash out of there. That is flashed down and on the jungler. That means it's a lot less easy for him to just go in there and steal away that dragon. So things just keep looking better for Team Summon around this dragon objective.
Yeah, you have to be very, very careful with that. The Oracle isn't going to disappear anymore if you die, but that will be, the entirety of your death timer, that your team won't have that presence out on the map. So you do need to very, very jealously guard that resource. You need to make sure that doesn't go anywhere anytime soon after purchasing it.
All right, so we got to keep an eye on where the kills are actually landing, because keep in mind it's only 20 minutes into the game, and there's only 5 kills, so it's not actually snowballing too far out of TDTV's favor. The only difference is that there are 3 turrets down, and I don't know, dragons, buffs, respawn, turrets don't. And that means that right now, if Team Summon kind of run on them, holy cow, the poke damage. Ezreal ultimate chunking Propaganda Panda down dangerously low. This does mean that the spears continuing to come out. It's going to be the initiation by Reap. Deathmark goes down. It is going to be enough to pick off Jungie. He's going to be the first casualty of the fight, but both Prophet and Propaganda Panda way too low. Get on this. Chris actually flashing out. He's going to stay alive. Lightning rush out. So many low HP. The grab goes down onto Andrew Chan. The barrier down for Propaganda Panda. Really scared of that support Janna, but after such a close engage, you can see AD carry, support, top laner, all so low for Team Summon. Just excellently played team fight, getting in, getting out in just the nick of time.
Yeah, Team Summon, they took an immense amount of poke. Like, it was just absurd, and Jace isn't done trying to poke down Propaganda Panda. That's going to get blocked up by some creeps, but even despite the fact that their AD carry got taken to, like, sub 100 HP before that fight even started, you saw how much powerful engage they had. Reap went in with the Deathmark and drew the attention. That allowed Chris to come in from the flank, get the ultimate down, and Dragoner dove right into the middle of everyone and just was so incredibly disruptive and brought a lot of damage to the fight. Just beautiful team fight play there from Team Summon, drawing a team in under the tower, making them commit hard to a fight they're sure they've won, and then taking it away from them.
Yeah, invulnerability, it's a pretty good stat to have. So when you're going in there with Deathmark and vulnerable to all spells, when you're going in there with Zanya's Hourglass on Chris, actually did wind up utilizing a lot of that to dodge a lot of damage. Then both of them still getting out alive at the end of that. They are going to lose their middle turret, but overall, still a much better trade for Team Summon. They do have to regroup, though. I mean, Propaganda Panda still pushing down that bottom lane. That means this is actually not the worst time for TTV to kind of get in onto here. Prophet taking a little bit of pain, but it's actually pretty tanky right now, so kind of surprising. You see that the grab lands on a Geek on Matt. Instantaneously, the Deathmark. The ultimate, is it going to be enough? Yes, he does explode. Dust Bounce coming in from Dragon are going to take out Anjo. That does mean that Chris could catch Chase on into this, but with a 2-kill advantage, a great turnaround all in the back of Prophet.
Yeah, and now picking East, he's going to be the one responsible for the poke. You see, he chunks Chris for so much health, but Jungie gets caught.
Yeah, he does have that arcane shift available. He's going to get over that wall, so he's okay for now. Keep in mind, man, these spears continuing to land. Zanya's Hourglass on Nidalee. I mean, not sort of the Death Cap Void Staff we're looking for on full AP. It's going to keep him safe, and it also helps in lane there against Reap, so it was about the most AP he could get with, you know, the options provided to him. So right now we got Oracles onto Dragoner. Going to be trying to clear out the blue buff. It's already gone. Looks like they could push onto this top turret, but they're not going to make the same mistake that TTV made overstaying their welcome.
Absolutely not. And at this phase of the game, given the fact that Reap is doing so incredibly well, I mean, look at that, 5-1-2, 200 CS. He's only 14 CS off the highest CS in the game, and that's going to his AD carry and Propaganda Panda. Last Whisper done, along with the Blade of the Ruin King and the Brutalizer. Do you expect to see that Zed start hitting down to the bottom lane and doing that 4-1 split push configuration from Team Summon?
Well, last time you asked me what I expected, it was whether or not Chris was going to pick up a Haunting Guise, so you were totally right about that. I'm just going to say a yes to this one. Really very popular split pusher, Zed, very fast wave clear, so you can really just you know, sit your team in the middle of the map or in another side lane and send Zed to do a little bit of a Shen-esque split push. The only problem is, like, he can't get there globally like a Shen would be able to, but he can kill turrets way faster and push incredibly quickly, so it's a little bit of what you want to go for it. I mean, if you're on the team of Team Summon, A, you're standing on a ward, and B, you may not actually need to go for that. You can just go ahead and win the team fight straight up. Blue buff does go over to Pekingese, grab does miss. That means that's Segoy Boys trying to get out alive. Chris looking to go in on here, trying to land a shuriken, but with the rest of TTV there, probably just gonna back off for now.
I'm waiting for Glorified to get mean and just step in front of a blitz hook and turn into spider form so one of the spiderling takes it. Like, I'm waiting for him to do that. Like, I just want to see him just to be as rude as possible to Prophet. I believe in him. He can do it.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. That's one of the ways it actually works really well. Kha'Zix and Blitzcrank, neither one of them do very well. Even Nidalee doesn't do very well against an Elise. There we go. I forgot the champion name there for a second. Yeah, against the Elise, because you can just tank it things up with your spiderlings. You're never isolated. It's just a really good way to play. But there's going to be a grab over the wall. Prophet continuing to bait these things out, but nice little ward over there. Put down by Sugoi Anjo-chan. Not quite allowing him the status he wants.
Yeah, that's a crucial ward. That's an absolutely critical ward to keeping the team safe, because those blitz hooks over the wall, if you don't have vision over that, you have absolutely no idea where it's going to come from, and that can very, very easily be the end of that tower.
That does mean that the flash in. Yeah, Prophet trying to run away there. Does have that rocket grab available. With the repel going out there, Glorified not going in aggressively. It's one of the great things as Caitlyn. Spiderlings don't proc your traps, so you just throw down a trap, wait for the repel to come down, and just walk away.
Exactly. You see Elise go up into repel, and you just throw a trap right under your feet and wait. He's like, come on, be very quiet. I'm hunting cheeky spiders. Okay, apparently that joke didn't land at all. Glorified now being aggressed on by Prophet. Prophet's going to get the pop-up and then back away. Propaganda Panda running the front with the red buff. Red buff on Caitlyn. Extremely terrifying.
There we go. Poke continues to come out. And to be honest, if you're Team Tower Dive, Ezreal Ultimate continuing to land, their poke is landing. It's so good. Like, they can land skill shots all day, and that's exactly what they need. They need to sit at turrets, poke off Team Summon, and keep them from closing out this game, because even though, you know, they're ahead by 4 turrets, TTV is hanging on. They're not giving up, you know, unnecessary kills. They're continuing to push out their lanes. It's not like they've been completely shut down or anything, so they still have options. It's not like Team Summon can just go anywhere and do whatever they want.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very painful. But once again, we did mention in the pregame lobby how poke teams can surmount a disadvantage, right? They're able to stall the game and just hold it out. This is what they're going to have to do right now. They're getting backed up basically into their base. This is the most difficult phase of the game for a hard engage composition to actually do what they want to do against a heavy poke composition. So if Tower Dive TV are going to have an opportunity to bring this game back, this is where they have to just dig their heels in. Do not give up that last little bit of yardage. I mean, they're in the red zone right now. If they allow Team Summon to get into the base and start taking down some of these buildings, their grasp of the map is going to slip down so very, very quickly.
Are you serious? Young Prophet, though, the Blitzcrank grab, stealing away the blue buff. That's pretty troll, if I do say so myself. That is quite a troll. Prophet getting in there with the oracles, clear out the dragon pit, and that will be another dragon here for Team Summon, taking it down and increasing their lead to over 10,000 gold.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you look at their lineup, and who exactly else are they going to put it on? I mean, you look at Blitzcrank, he hasn't had an opportunity to buy a single cooldown reduction item on a champion who thrives from cooldown reduction. I mean, more overdrives, more pop-ups, more grabs. It's fantastic for him. Jack doesn't need it, Zed doesn't need it, Kennen doesn't need it, Caitlyn doesn't really need it. I mean, she can make use of it just like Blitzcrank can, but they figured, you know what? We have 3 divers and 1 peel champion who is so reliant on that low cooldown knockup in order to actually be an effective peel for our carry. Let's put the blue buff on him. Why not? And hey, if him actually picking it up through the wall with the rocket grab looks that stylish, so be it.
And that does mean that we have 12-second rocket grabs starting to come out here. Spears continuing to land, and the AP's continuing to climb. You already have that Tear of the Goddess fully stacked, so you're going to see a Seraph's Embrace in no time. That is going to skyrocket the AP here for Pekingese. And, I mean, Tower Dive TV, we talked about them sort of stalling out the game. They're continuing to do exactly that, keeping their lanes pushed, and, well, with the exception of that mid lane, they'll be able to back on out for now. Just continuing to poke in onto Team Summon. And it's really going to be up to Team Summon, either like group up, shove down a lane, because they aren't actually doing too much as a team right now. Just kind of pushing in the lanes and letting TTV farm a little bit more.
Yeah, Kennen is just going for the full penetration build at this point. He's got an Abyssal Scepter coming out. Jungi popping the ultimate, takes a couple auto attacks and loses about half his health. Propaganda Panda is already terrifying, and that's only a 2-item Caitlyn at 30 minutes. Only 1,300 gold in the bank. That seems a bit low.
Yes, and whether or not that money in the bank will allow him to make other things easy is going to be seen here as Geek Destiny tries to get the poke in on there. But keep in mind, TTV, they have a limited time window to engage here, because top lane, we are seeing Reap pushing things in there. Dragon's going to steal away a blue buff, and Glorified's just kind of running interference, trying to keep his jungle under control, but not really doing that too good a job.
Oh, Geek Death getting caught up by Prophet. No one else in the area. Oh, there's Caitlyn, and this is going to be bad.
Exhaust goes down, barrier as well, but Ignite enough to pick up the kill. A great jump in there by Geek Death. Chris coming in though, gonna pick up one, throws out the Shuriken for a second kill. Exhaust on the turret, throws down the Zanyas. He's gonna be able to stay alive for now. No grab in there. Chris overextending just a little bit. Will get taken out. Keep in mind, I Am Anjo gets out of there alive as well with the last 200 of his own HP. And a great exhaust, but meanwhile, exactly what we were talking about. Got the split push up in the top lane. Reap trying to get the damage done onto the trap. Pretty sure they could have dove that. Nobody really in a position to capitalize on that. That's exactly what I was talking about. Reap just going in there, throwing down the death mark, picking up the kill. Actually, didn't actually get the death mark. Whew, ultimate from Ezreal. Not sure exactly what that was trying to accomplish, but as is, Reap just kind of God mode right now. Not a whole lot that can stop the Zed.
I mean, realistically, when it comes down to it, if Nidalee lands a spear, an Ezreal ultimate, like on its first tick of damage, might be enough to clean up a lot of these members. Like, you see a lot of people are building a lot of HP. Reap, I want to say he's still going for the Frozen Mallet, although that could be just a Warmogs. Frozen Mallet, I feel like, is a little bit more common of an item on Zed. But he's just buying the straight-up HP components first because he recognizes that this is what he needs the most against the Nidalee. We'll see as he's headed back to base now. There's the Frozen Mallet getting picked up. It's so very, very scary. And I want to give Chris, a little bit of credit there for flashing over a Cocoon while popping his ultimate to pick up 1 kill. Very, very nearly picked up 2, but then didn't really have an exit strategy after that one. So it was a very, very flashy play, but one he ended up having to give up his life for.
All right, so as is, we're going to kind of reset the board a little bit. There is a severe tower disadvantage for TTD, or TTD, Team Tower Dive. I always get their acronyms mixed up. At least it's not Team Tower Dive versus Team Tempest. That'd just be a little bit too much to deal with. Oh, the Cocoon lands, but a nice dodge out of there. 90 caliber net. Exactly enough calibers to get Caitlyn out alive. We'll continue to clear out the waves. Chris, though, has got the flank coming in from behind. I don't think he's actually even spotted out there by the ward. You can see Dragoner going for the engage, too. Chris coming around, lands a little bit of damage, but is going to get knocked away there, immediately pushed out by Janna. They continue rampage through the team fight, gets some stuns out. Glorified going to pop. Dragoner just bounces on top of him, pull back in on a Geek Desert, gets knocked up there by the rocket grab, or by the power fist, rather. And it was quite a powerful fist, one that's proved a little bit too much for Geek God Mad to deal with. And after a great engage off of that flank from Chris, he's going to get back into the action, and the rest of his team Summon just going straight for the Baron.
Yeah, they're just diving in right on this one. They recognize that they've generated enough of a difference in power right now. They have to be very, very careful, though. Nidalee is really good at punishing Baron attempts.
She is, and you got Junkie there to poke things in there too. But there's going to be just in range for the death mark. Tries to get in on the damage. Will it beat up? Holy cow, that damage from Reap. Just way too much to deal with. Pekingese gets the jump off. Will it be enough? Deathmark in, or the Shadow Dash in on there. Living Shadow, rather. He's not Shen. His mortal enemy. Getting on there. Reap continuing to pick up the kills right, left, and center. 8, 1, and 3. Frozen Mallet, exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, he's just done so well. I mean, the slow was pretty critical there, mostly because it saved them time in chasing down Ezreal so that they could pick up Nidalee. Glorified getting jumped on. He's going to flash back out of this one, and Team Summon are going to be content to take down the tower.
Yeah, not really wanting to overextend their lead. I mean, if they go for anything like crazy double turret dive, that's a little bit uncalled for. But with that 5-on-3 power play, they're just going to go ahead and take down the first inhibitor of the game at the 33-minute mark.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Tower Dive TV couldn't afford to let happen. I mean, Baron going to the other side, it's bad. It's very, very bad, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But once you lose an inhibitor, that's going to split your forces up because the opposing side can just group up in one lane, siege up on a tower, and just wait and wait and wait until the super creeps are pushing in onto your base and someone has to go deal with them. And for a poke composition to be split, like granted, sitting and waiting against a poke composition is a scary affair, right? That's nothing anybody wants to do. But if you have a Baron buff, it's a lot more tolerable. And if it's the mid lane that's missing super creeps, they're going to get there faster than they will top or bottom lanes. That also makes it a little bit more tolerable of an affair. Then when you have as much hard engage as this side does, plus the opportunity to actually do a 4-1 split push in those two side lanes with Zed going out and just completely demolishing anybody that comes in front of him, that's a very, very attractive option for Team Summon right now.
All right, pretty much most of the options here for Team Summon are fairly attractive. I'm thinking in my mind, okay, what is it that they can't do right now? I'm not coming up with a whole lot of thoughts, which is somewhat different than usual. We're gonna see the Ezreal ultimate clearing out the bottom lane. Chris trying to get in here onto Glorified, going man mode, gets cocooned. That will be the end of his aggression for now. But like I said, Chris's playstyle is all about, being able to at all times do whatever he wants. He's definitely achieved that. This game does have that Abyssal Scepter completed there after the Zhonya's Hourglass for a 4-1-5 score with 300 CS. Second in the game, though, to Propaganda Panda, whose early laning phase is a little bit rough, but at 1-1-4 with 350 CS, almost on par for a perfect CS score.
Yeah, he's just been doing so much split pushing, right? Whenever he's died or come back from a fight, he's let his team just go to one lane, and he's just walked to another one and pushed it all the way down. And that's how he's caught back up with that like diamond standard CS. He's just consistently shoving lanes all by himself. And it's turning into a pretty massive item lead for him. He's already up to 3 items. The Last Whisper is not going to be too far off if this game extends itself that long. And that's going to be pretty terrifying. 4-item Kate, she hurt good.
Yes, she hurts quite well, and I actually think you got it right. I'm sorry, my grammar's failing me. Second inhibitor of the game going down though. Team Summon not really feeling too bad about this. Looking like Team Tower Dive trying to get in here, but they can't quite get what it takes. Pekingese able to dodge most of the damage there from that death mark. Has managed to get out alive. Geekyesu though, he's in a little bit of trouble. Does finally have his Muramana complete, but is that damage going to be enough to keep Team Tower Dive in this game? Propaganda Panda down around 900 HP, so one spear is going to make his life a whole lot less attractive. 200 HP gained per auto. Kayla going to get that HP back. Pekingese going in there, gets the Seraphs out. Will drag Dragoner onto the platform, but does pick up the kill. Jace probably going to be able to pick up the kill onto Dragoner, but he pops into his blobs. Glorified not really willing to go out there for the kill, and that does mean with both Nexus turrets down, Team Summon will take the game.
Yeah, they're just pushing through. Dragoner even willing to go onto the fountain to pick up kills. He's continuing to dive all around. Anjo's going to disconnect. He got killed so hard he just died. And Youngie is going to get pulled back off the fountain. There's the ace. Team Summon clean up the Nexus.
And a very impressive performance from Team Summon. Like we mentioned, it had a little bit of roster issues. Rest in peace, Sicko Scott. That was one of my favorite top laners. But with Chris coming in here, what a better replacement. And glad to see the new roster kind of coming together, gelling here, and picking up the win. 22 kills in that game.